This is the AB4WS radio show. Every week, bringing you the exciting amateur radio news and information happening in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana areas.
The AB4WS radio show can be found on the Apple Podcast app or your favorite podcast application. And now also available on the AB4WS radio show YouTube channel. Well, the 2025 Greater Louisville Hamfest was a great success. I think it keeps getting bigger every year. Even with the rain, there was a fair amount of sellers in the flea market area outside. It was good seeing a lot of hams that I don't get to see very often, and some I've never met face to face. Many won prizes. Even I won a door prize. I won a padlock, which was one of my first ever winnings at a Hamfest. The grand prize of a Yaesu FT891 transceiver went to Mark Embry. The MFJ 1536 Pulsar tri-band bass antenna was won by Gary Reeser, KM4BMA. The MFJ 1522 Pulsar dual band bass antenna was won by J. Ron Sawyer, AD4JJ. And the Bofang UV5R 8-watt tri-power UHF VHF handheld transceiver was won by John Dunker, W9WR. And a Bofang UV5R 8-watt tri-power UHF VHF handheld transceiver was won by Buddy Soul, KC4WQ. I was surprised to discover that I was honored as the 2025 Kentucky Amateur of the Year. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this honor. This is an honor that I will certainly remember my entire life, and the plaque and other items were very, very nice. I appreciate everyone involved with this award and thank them for all the work that they do in the selection process. I would also like to thank everyone for their kind words and well wishes and congratulations. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. With the Louisville Hamfest in our rearview mirror comes news that the 2026 Cincinnati Hamfest on August 15, 2026 in Owingsville, Ohio, will be the host of the ARRL Great Lakes Division Convention. Congratulations to the Cincinnati Hamfest and the Milford Amateur Radio Club. Looking forward to next year's event. The Queen City Emergency Net and the Okayan Amateur Radio Society are pleased to announce a schedule for classes in ham radio starting in mid-September 2025. They're offering a 6-week in-person course leading up to the entry level or the technician class license. Classes will be held on Saturday mornings from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. starting on September 20th and continuing through October 25th. The location will be at the Cincinnati Red Cross Building, 2111 Dana Avenue in Cincinnati, Ohio. There is no cost for the class, but participants will be responsible for their own instruction materials. The instructors will be working from the Ham Radio License Manual, 5th edition, from the American Radio Relay League. Books are available from the ARRL.org or many other booksellers online or in store. Those interested are encouraged to sign up via email to hamtutor@ohkyin.org. Do you have a technician class license? And would you like to get your feet wet with contesting? Well, this weekend is your chance, since September 13th and 14th is the ARRL September VHF-UHF contest. This is a perfect for the technician class operator to get involved in a contest and play some VHF-UHF radio and learn a lot about the propagation and coverage of these bands. For more information, go to ARRL.org/September-VHF. The Brunch Bunch will be meeting on September 13th at 1 p.m. at the Frisch's Big Boy, 11122 Hamilton Avenue in Mount Healthy. Come on out and enjoy some real Frisch's food. On September 15th, the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will be meeting at 7 p.m. at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky, where there will be a presentation by Michael, KC8OWL, the former Aries coordinator in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, and the main facilitator for the weekly APRS Thursday Net, who will tell us everything about APRS and APRS Thursday. Everyone's invited to attend. From September 16th through September 25th, 18 clubs will be activating the Erie Canal for Parks on the Air, celebrating the Erie Canal's 200th anniversary. These clubs and many more individuals are planning Parks on the Air POTA activations within the Erie Canal Way National Heritage Corridor, Park US 6532, and possibly the Empire State Trail US 8098, making many of them a twofer. The Heritage Corridor is a large area that also includes the Cuyahoga and Seneca Lakes, and even north of Albany. So regardless of location in the state, there are a lot of eligible locations and possible twofers. Most of the clubs will be activating on Saturday and Sunday. Please share your activations to social media. They recommend including the following hashtags for your posts. Hashtags of pound ERIECANAL 200, pound ERIECANALWAY, pound Parks on the Air. And please also send your experiences and results to K2EAG@ARRL.net. They would love to hear about your experiences with the event. The Monix Group is planning their September meeting to be held on September 20th at 6 p.m. at the Holscher Park at the Greater Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport. They possibly also be checking out the observation area at CVG. This is all in the planning stage and is contingent on a number of factors, so stay tuned. On September 22nd at 7 p.m., the Amateur Radio Emergency Team of Northern Kentucky KY6ET Training Team will be holding a presentation on the introduction to WinLink at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. The business meeting will start at 5:30 p.m. and is optional. So if you'd just like to attend the training team session, come on out at 7 o'clock or the business meeting or both. Everyone is welcome. Parks on the Air meetup is planned for September 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time at the Paintsville Lake State Park, US 1270. Get ready for the Simulated Emergency Test, known as SET, on October 4th and 5th, where ARES and emergency communications groups demonstrate their abilities to provide communications to the served agencies. Time now for your group to start planning their participation in the said event. For more information, go to www.ARRL.org/simulated-emergency-test. The Ohio said event is scheduled for October 4th and will be based on a major solar flare hitting the Earth, which knocks out the Ohio Marks Public Safety communication system as well as the cellular network. The Ohio SEC is asking for counties to send a SITREP message via voice, digital, or WinLink and suggesting each county make their own plan for this event. This could include local repeaters, simplex, HF, voice, and digital. Is your county ready? Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club will be conducting a live online classes to get your technician class license. Class will be held over Zoom and run for 6 weeks from Sunday, October 5th through November 9th. Sessions will be from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. All ages are welcome. For more information and or to register, visit tiny.cc/BAHAM. On October 11th, the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will be holding a Parks on the Air event at US 3779, the Big Bone Lick State Historic Site, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you're interested in Parks on the Air, or if you just want to see what this radio thing is all about, come on out. Even if you don't have a ham radio license, we may be able to put you on the air with a control operator. It's lots of fun to play radio in the park. Come on out and see what it's all about. On Monday, October 20th at 7 p.m. at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky, the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club meeting will have a presentation on The Beginner's Guide to Meshtastic by David, KY4DM. If you're interested in Meshtastic, come on out and learn all about this new form of communications.
Repeater news.
Currently, the 6-meter repeater in Walton, Kentucky on 53.85 is experiencing a problem where it's not passing audio. KG4MVN is working on correcting this. Are you looking for the most up-to-date list of repeaters in the greater Cincinnati area? Well, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I've listed repeaters that are active in the area, separated by tabs for each band or mode, so you can easily look for just DMR repeaters or 2-meter analog repeaters and so on. The list includes 2 meters, 220, 440, 6 meters, D-Star, DMR, C4FM, P25, and some other classifications. Every time I update the file, I include the date and the file name so that you know you have the latest update. To download the file, go to the AB4WS Radio Show Facebook page and go to the file section and download the file. If you're not on Facebook, email me at ab4ws.radio@gmail.com and I can email you the latest file. If you see any errors, problems, additions, or corrections, email that information to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Hamfest.
On September 13th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. is Richmond, Kentucky Hamfest at the Madison County Fairgrounds, 3237 Old Irwin Road in Richmond, Kentucky. September 13th is a Swap Meet Hamfest at the Merchants Landing Bingo Hall, 6182 Summit Street in Toledo, Ohio. For more information, go to lucasares.org. On September 27th is the Paintsville, Kentucky Hamfest at the Paintsville Recreation Center, 232 Preston Street in Paintsville, Kentucky. For more information, go to ky4arc.com. On September 28th is the 51st Annual Cleveland Hamfest and Computer Show at the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds, 162 Eastland Road in Bree, Ohio. For more information, go to hac.org. October 4th is the DX Workshop Operating Specialty Convention from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time in the Warren County Public Library, Bob Kirby Branch, 175 Iron Skillet Court in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Talk in on the 444.300 repeater with a PL tone of 179.9. For more information, visit wkdxa.org/events. October 25th is the Hazard Kentucky Hamfest at 1700 North Main Street in Hazard, Kentucky. For more information, contact Johnny, KY4JLB at JLB741@yahoo.com. On November 8th, the Grant Amateur Radio Club will once again hold the famous Georgetown Hamfest at the ABCAP building, 406 West Plum Street in Georgetown, Ohio. Lots of door prizes will be given away. An amateur radio exam session will be held by the Highland Amateur Radio Association. Talking on the 146.73 repeater with a PL tone of 162.2. For more information, contact Ken, KD8FKU at KD8FKU@gmail.com.
Are you looking to upgrade your license? Do you have someone else that's interested in the hobby? Here are some upcoming exam opportunities.
The Milford Amateur Radio Club holds amateur radio testing on the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Miami Township Civic Center, 6101 Meyer Drive in Milford, Ohio. Please pre-register at milfordhamradio.org. The Dayton Amateur Radio Association has exams frequently. For their exam schedule, email exams.w8bi@gmail.com. On September 13th, the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. Please pre-register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WC8VOA. On September 13th, the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 10:30 a.m. at the Cuyahoga Falls Public Library, 2025 2nd Street, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. You must pre-register by email at education@cfarc.org or call 330-929-8921. On September 14th, the Cuyahoga Amateur Radio Society will hold an amateur radio exam session at 11:30 a.m. at the Old Elmwood Recreation Center, 62 Wiedniski Parkway, Independence, Ohio. Walk-ins accepted and register at email metro351@sbcglobal.net or call 216-560-1320. On September 15th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/sessions/NKY-VE. On September 20th, the American Legion Post 42 in Bardstown, Kentucky will hold an amateur radio exam session at 9 a.m. You must pre-register by contacting Paul, NC9W, at paul.kiener@gmail.com. On September 21st, the Geauga Amateur Radio Association will be holding an amateur radio exam session at 2 p.m. at the Geauga County Emergency Management, EOC, 12518 Merritt Road in Chardon, Ohio. Walk-ins are okay. For more information, email n8jmw2@gmail.com or call 440-228-2716. On September 28th at 11:30 a.m., there'll be an amateur radio testing session at the Cleveland, Ohio Hamfest, Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds, 160 Eastland Road in Bree, Ohio. Walk-ins are okay, and for more information, email hamfestve@k8md.com. On October 2nd, the Lafayette Valley Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Dearborn County Emergency Management Office, 401 West High Street in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Register at hamstudy.org/sessions. For more information, email Dan at KE9AKS@lvarc.net. On October the 9th, the DeForest Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at the Adams County Emergency Management Office, 31 Logan's Lane in West Union, Ohio. Please pre-register by emailing K8WEH@K8WEH@ARRL.net or on the K8GE.net website. On October 11th at 10 a.m., the Scott County Amateur Radio Club will host an amateur radio testing session at the Georgetown Police Department, Georgetown, Kentucky. On October 20th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/sessions/NKY-VE. On October 25th at 10 a.m., the Wilderness Road Amateur Radio Club will host an amateur radio exam session at the American Legion Post 46 in Danville, Kentucky. On October 28th at 6 p.m., the K4TG VE team will host an amateur radio exam session at the Anderson County Extension Building. Use the rear entrance in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. On November the 8th at 10 a.m., the Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society will host an amateur radio exam session at the Red Cross Building in Lexington, Kentucky. On December 11th, the DeForest Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at the Adams County Emergency Management Office, 31 Logans Lane in West Union, Ohio. Please pre-register by emailing K8WEH at K8WEH@ARRL.net or on the KHGE.net website. On December 13th, the Scott County Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio testing session at the Georgetown Police Department in Georgetown, Kentucky. Special thanks to this week's content contributors: WB8VNH, KY6MM, AC8MA, KY4GW, WB8YYS, KD8ZLD, K9HIO, N8LAR, K4NKU.
If you have something you think other amateur radio operators in the area would be interested in, send the information or your recorded audio file attached in an email to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Covering your amateur radio news and information in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana tri-state area, this is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.